Good evening, folks. This is the Factivist Report, and tonight's topic is the indictment of the Orange Jackaloon. All of the fallout from that. And there's a lot of it. So I'm going to turn this over to Dave.
Now we were going to do another show where we were going to do another show basically on the demonization of transgender and the whole thing about the guns and the shooting and all of that. But Deb, a couple of days ago, told me, Dave, this is much more important because of the timeliness of it, because the indictment is Tuesday. It's in New York, and there are calls for all sorts of protests, violence, whatever. I know that there are petitioners out there. I've heard a couple of people in my circles saying that they're petitioning in the in the Upper West Side. And they're getting shut down. Now, I don't know. Again, I don't know where this is going to go. We don't know.
Can I just interject one thing here?
Yeah.
I'm saying that right at this moment, this is more important, but I want to make one thing clear. The whole transgender issue is extremely important to me, considering the fact that I'm a 22-year-old who is a transgender person. So we will be back on this, but for the present moment, what I see happening is somebody finally holding Donald Trump accountable. These are legitimate, chargeable offenses in the state of New York, and one of these is federal. And we have someone doing their job, and we have the people on the right twisting this all up into something that it isn't, and we need to call this out. This needs to be talked about, and it needs to be talked about tonight.
One thing I know about Watergate is that when one person fell, a bunch of people fell. Not necessarily in government, not necessarily in office, but you had guys like G. Gordon Liddy and all these other guys that took falls too. So people
I personally believe that Richard Nixon knew he was going to be charged with obstruction of justice.
Yes.
And that is why he resigned. And I also personally believe that it was planned that Gerald Ford would pardon him.
Oh, absolutely.
Preemptively, because he could have been charged even after he resigned. So, you know what? There is no such cover for Donald Trump right now. So everybody needs to understand that.
There's one federal charge. To the best of our knowledge, all this other stuff is from the state of New York. He's not going to be able to be pardoned by anybody, even if a Republican, but don't think that they won't try, and don't think that you're safe and you can. I don't know why you would vote for a Republican president anyway, but the reason we're doing this now is because we want to alert people that this is a clear and present danger, that we have the Republican Party in different phases of this doing different things. We have calls for violence from Donald Trump himself, talking about this is, potential death and destruction will follow if he gets indicted and arrested and blah, blah, blah. We have, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Prosobiec coming to New York.
Flying monkeys.
Yeah. And don't think that you're not going to have an increase in potential domestic terrorist threats, especially given the fact that the spring and April the 20th, which is the anniversary of Ruby Ridge and the Columbine shooting and a lot of this stuff, that's coming anyway.
And so by the way, Alvin Bragg was already threatened. His life was already threatened several times. He's been getting hate mail. This stuff, if you are sitting at home right now and saying, oh, January 6th, that was 2 years ago, you know what? Everybody in this country can't lose sight of the fact that actually happened. That was a damn near overthrow of the U.S. government, period. And do not think for 1 nanosecond that the cretins that are in office from the GOP wouldn't try that again, because they would.
I don't understand what people don't understand about that, because they're in in motion now. And I'm going to show you the different parts of this. So we have, let me get here. Here from the Associated Press. I'm going to start there. Yeah. So, all right, are we going to do this already? We're going to do this already. Hold on. It's frozen. There. I moved a little bit. Part of the problem with all of these is that there are so many, there's so many ads in this thing now, and there's so many embedded videos that they impede the they impede this sometimes. So basically, this is what's going to happen. And I'm going to stop sharing because I'm not even gonna, at least first. Yeah, hold on. Are we doing this? Yeah, it's completely frozen now.
All right.
There we go. All right. So Trump's indicted. He's expected to surrender on Tuesday and be sent to court. He's not going to be put in handcuffs. He's not going to, it's not a Julian Assange kind of thing where they're going to like hold him and throw him in there's none of that.
He's going to have a mugshot.
He's going to have a mugshot. There's going to be, and this is the Manhattan DA's office. This is in regards to part of this is in regards to a Stormy Daniels payoff in which Michael Cohen used a payment. It was like some type of business transaction, and it was kind of hidden in business transactions, which is illegal in New York. So that's part of it. There are over 30 indictments, one federal. And right now, the indictment is sealed, but they are expected to unseal it and start talking about it on Tuesday. So he's not expected to be held, or to be jailed or any of that kind of stuff. But he's probably going to be held on bail and told not to, move around too much and all of that kind of thing. But he will be able to continue to campaign. So I don't know if he's going to be able to
grift off the American people.
And grift off the American people. I don't know.
The ultimate victim of the system.
I don't know if he's going to be able to travel across the country or not. I'm not sure. So
I'll be able to. Yeah, I am.
Yeah. So this is, again, from the Politico article that I have here, and let's see. And this is from Josh Gerstein and Kyle Cheney, and this was March 30th. So this was very recent. So we're talking about the indictment. The precise charges are secret for now. The $130,000 payment to adult film actress star Stormy Daniels to keep her from publicizing her claim about Trump cheating on his wife with her. Trump's lawyer, Michael Cohen, funded that payment through a home equity line of credit. Okay. Trump insisted in April 2018 he did not know about the hush money, but Cohen, and this is why Michael Cohen was in court over and over and over and over and over again, by the way.
I met with the DA's office over 17 times.
Yeah.
In this last year.
He
so
provided.
You have nothing. You don't come more than 3 times. All right. And by the way, let me just say this: Alvin Bragg had the political gall. I mean, not the gall, but the political guts to actually pursue this case, because the man before him did not, and several prosecutors quit because they would not pursue this case. So Alvin Bragg did his job. That's what he did as New York's, as a prosecutor, as a DA, he did his job. So let me just say this so everyone understands. He did not indict Donald Trump. His prosecutors had to present evidence to a grand jury.
Right.
The jury indicts the perpetrator. Okay. So this isn't a witch hunt of any kind.
Yep. This is in there, but in a presentation, but no, it's not a witch hunt. This was decided by a grand jury, and it was across party lines and all that kind of stuff. So Michael Cohen provided Congress a series of check images signed by Trump reflecting payments to Cohen that he said were reimbursements for the money he laid out, and including at least 2 payments that came while Trump was in the White House. Cohen said that Trump and his company concealed the purpose of the payments by falsely labeling them as legal expenses, which is illegal. Okay. Now,
not to mention the fact the reason they covered this up to begin with was to directly affect the outcome of an election, period.
Right. I'm going to see if I can, because these are a couple things I want to show. I want people to understand that there's some people in here. There we go. You have your favorite lawyer in there. So you have Michael Cohen, who, by the way, people are saying that it is possible that this case is in jeopardy because Michael Cohen is not the most above board credible witness.
He served his time.
Right. But here's the thing.
Plenty of documentation to back him up.
Who is the most squeaky clean person who's a witness in a case like this?
Let me just
nobody.
This to you. Michael Cohen isn't doing this to reduce his jail time. Michael Cohen has already served his jail time. He's already been totally disbarred. Okay, he is gaining nothing from this.
Right. So we have Michael Cohen, Stormy Daniels, Alvin Bragg. Okay. Alan Weisselberg, ex-Trump organization CEO, immunity in their hush money probe in 2018. Okay. Joe Tacopina, who Deb has named, one of the extras in The Sopranos. He does look the part. A vocal member of Trump's legal team, who started representing him last year. Susan Nichelis, another defense team lawyer.
I would not understand any reputable lawyer taking Donald Trump as a client.
So we have Robert Costello, former legal advisor, talking about that they're trying to discredit Cohen again. Karen McDougal, someone else who received hush money, and David Pecker, the former National Enquirer CEO, been linked to Cohen's efforts to pay off Daniels and McDougal. Okay, so they talk about holes in the prosecution's case, which include, the timeliness. They might attack the timeliness. They're going to attack Cohen. All of that stuff. So is this a lockdown case on Trump himself? Not necessarily, but as I'm going to explain at the end, this is only the beginning. You have
explain something to you now, and this might not be in this article. There is audio. There is a tape.
Right. No, it wasn't explained in there.
Yeah. There is audio. There is
right.
A tape.
So, will Trump remain free? Can he campaign while under indictment? Okay. It'll be up to the state and up to the judge assigned to the case, but it seems unlikely that prosecutors would seek to detain the former president or restrict his travel within the U.S. By the way, within the U.S.,
Right.
who the hell knows? He could be, flying with Bolsonaro or going to fucking Epstein Island or whatever. There's no legal impediment to him continuing his presidential campaign while facing criminal charges, or even if he were jailed. So, can we just not vote for him? The indictment is not going to affect the other Trump investigations, which I have a list of at the end of this. All right. This is Jack Smith. We have Jack Smith, the two investigations there, Fani Willis. Those are the two main ones. It could take months and months to get this to trial. And of course, you're going to have his lawyers throwing all sorts of, monkey wrenches in it. You're going to have all these guys talking on Fox News and wherever else. It may take a pretty long time to voir dire, which is to select a jury in this case. Because I don't think anybody, one way or another, in the United States does not have an opinion on Donald Trump. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. So, criminal tax case, and oh, by the way, let me see here.
One of the things that doesn't work in Trump's favor, however, is his big mouth.
Yep.
Keep yapping.
Yep. The other thing is his businesses have already been found guilty in some of these charges. So it's going to be kind of hard. This whole defense, well, he didn't know. Again, as Deb just said, he's got a big mouth. He's going to talk.
Yep.
So a criminal tax case the Manhattan District Attorney's Office filed against Trump Organization in the same court in 2021 took 15 months to get to trial. So understand this. And now they're going to, yeah.
He's already out there dumping on the judge. Probably
of course he is.
Wisest move for Mr. Genius.
A jury convicted two Trump companies on all 17 charges last December that they were being charged with. The issues in the new case are narrower, but the focus on Trump personally may drag things out unless he runs his big mouth, or when he runs his big mouth. So one thing that makes this very dangerous and very time sensitive is the fact we've been here before. Deb said something to the effect of, well, people keep on saying it was 2 years ago. No, this is a constant thing. This is a continuous and ongoing problem. You hear it from some of the House members. Most of them are House members, or people who ran for office, didn't get in office, senators like J.D. Vance. You have Carrie Lake running her big mouth. You have all of these people who are continually pushing this narrative.
And by the way, those in the Senate who are remaining silent in the face of all this, they're no better. All right, they're no better.
So this is from the New Republic. Here's the gist of it. He's always been a xenophobe. He's always been a misogynist. He's always been a dirtbag. Always racist, the whole thing. But now there are two things that he added to this campaign: revenge and war talk, and talk of like Armageddon.
Yep. Remember, he said, "I am your retribution." If you want a president that's running on that platform, you know who he's talking to. He's not talking to the vast majority of American people. You
Right.
know who he's talking to.
Okay. And we're talking, okay, so here's this right here He is being accused of a crime. So he's being indicted. He has a right to a trial. He's talking like a person who is what he is, which is a fascist. Let's just be honest. The revenge Donald Trump sees against the deep state and prosecutors who are closing in on him. Many in the audience that held signed witch hunt, which will, again, it's not a witch hunt. So people who don't agree with him, who, by the way, they weren't politicians when they found him guilty. This is what everybody else has to go through in a trial. So
And
they
he's
spun
different than anybody else.
right.
Okay.
They spun out a fantastical story involving, and I haven't even heard this one before, Chuck Schumer's brother, a corporate lawyer in New York, who's part of the enormous conspiracy to take down Trump. The abuses of power that we're currently witnessing at all levels of government will go down as the most shameful, corrupt, and depraved chapters in all of American history, Trump said. Well,
I don't think so. I think we saw that on January 6, 2021.
That, and I don't know, maybe the attacks on someone just trying to do his job, like Anthony Fauci. He called it the central issue of our time and told his audience, as he always does. And by the way, he's talking about himself. Okay. They're not coming after me. He told his audience, as he always does, they're not coming after me. They're coming after you.
No, they're not.
They're coming after him.
Right.
Just so you know, you're not him.
Coming after you if you have committed crimes. But if you haven't committed crimes, they're not coming after you. They're coming after him because he's a criminal.
So here's Lord of mercy. So the apocalypse part gets even worse. Our opponents have done everything they can to crush our spirit and break our will, but they've failed. They've only made us stronger. And 2024 is the final battle. Look, can we finally just say that this man is calling for violence? Maybe it's kind of thinly veiled, but this is calling for, this is, engaging his base.
It's more than that. And 2024 is the final battle. That implies that there's never going to be another legitimate election.
Right. Not only that implies, as they said, Armageddon.
He's going to be the king.
That's going to be the big one. You put me back in the White House, our reign will be over, and American will be a free nation once again. Wait a minute. So you put him back in the White House. That's it. He's going to be the leader forever.
It's game, set, and match for democracy, folks. Unless you're white, straight, and male. I mean it, gang. Have you seen the people following him?
I mean, he talked about death and destruction. I hope you guys understand. I mean, come on. So, New York Times, Trump escalating attacks, specter of violence if he is charged. In an overnight post, the former president warned of potential death and destruction if he was indicted. Hours later, Alvin Bragg got a threatening letter. Now, you telling me that there's not a link there?
Who does that? Who does that? I mean, people are indicted every day. Every day.
So, all right. So we have, again, the flying monkeys, or the political flying monkeys. Race against the criminal charges. Don Jr., Mr. That guy,
Whatever.
and Kevin McCarthy. I saw articles of Kevin McCarthy must uphold the. Really? Kevin McCarthy isn't upholding anything, just so you know. And Mike
Ron
Pence is
DeSantis, who was in a battle with Trump. What Ron DeSantis is doing by supporting Trump is going after the MAGA voters. Don't and God only knows what Mike Pence is even bothering for, because he's polling at 5%. Right. Mike Pence, if he loved America the way he says he does, he would have shown up in front of the January 6th committee, and he wouldn't be fighting the subpoena from Jack Smith right now. If he cared about this country, this man was literally threatened with murder for not overthrowing the election, and he's defending Trump. He's defending the man whose followers built gallows outside the Congress for him. And let me just say this. If Mike Pence really cared about this country, he'd have no reservation about testifying, none whatsoever.
One more thing. Ron DeSantis is talking about not supporting extradition for the former president. The former president is currently in Florida. So Ron DeSantis says that he's willing to break the law, basically, and keep him in Florida. If
whatever the fuck he wants in Florida, because he's already created a fascist state.
And by the way, I want you to understand this. Ron DeSantis removed somebody unconstitutionally from office, saying that they didn't support following his law. So now he's not following national law and constitutional law. Shouldn't he be removed from office in his own logic? He should.
Now, we're being told that Trump won't hold up in Mar-a-Lago, that he's actually heading to New York on Monday.
We'll see.
We'll see. But let me just tell you this. If he doesn't show up for his indictment, there will be an arrest warrant.
And part of this whole, the purpose of this whole thing is to expose a lot of these other people. And when they commit crimes, go after them as well. That's what
they're really worried about. They weren't really worried about the fact that if Trump is charged, that means they can be charged when they do something. That's really what they're worried about. They really don't care about Trump. What they really care about is the fact that, you know what? Just because we've never indicted a former president before doesn't mean we shouldn't. Okay? Right. I'm sorry, folks. He's got to follow the law, just like every other person in this country has to follow the law. That's what we keep hearing. Okay? What this now means is the jig is up for all of them. And that's what we care about.
You think Ron DeSantis, if he became president, he wouldn't be, he wouldn't break federal law in some way? He's already doing it over and over again in Florida. He doesn't care. He's worried of protecting his own skin. Just so you know. So we have Lindsey Graham.
Oh, goodness me.
Oh, my stars and garters.
Yeah, she needs a fainting couch.
She goes on Fox News.
Cried on Fox News. And I'm figuring out maybe he cried because he knows George is after him. So, you know that song, Indiana Wants Me? Well, Georgia wants him, I think.
Yes. And he, plus this is part of it too. You have calls for violence. You have, calling out the radical right wing to fight back because these guys are getting called out. And here's another part of it, which is grifting.
Pray for him. Go to DonaldJTrump.com and give money so he can defend himself. The man's a fucking millionaire. Jesus H. Christ.
So we have all these guys going on Fox News, some to grift and some to push this idea that this is a witch hunt. By the way, how many witch hunts have we had on, critical race theory, transgender care, transgenders? We had Anthony Fauci. I don't even know how many else. So
those are witch hunts.
Those are witch hunts. Oh, Hunter Biden, of course.
How about Alvin Bragg?
Alvin Bragg. We have, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Kamala Harris. Oh, by the way, Nancy Pelosi's husband,
Right.
okay, who was attacked, clubbed over the head, and then they tried to smear him.
They tried to make it sound like he was having an affair with that guy, and he just allowed himself to be whacked over the head with a hammer so he could cover it up. What the fuck, people? I mean, really? How stupid are you that you would believe something like that?
This is just basically confirming what we already said. That these people are repeating witch hunt, witch hunt, witch hunt, witch hunt, witch hunt. And then not only is it not a witch hunt because Trump was basically, he was found guilty, or found that this was worthy of an indictment.
By a grand jury of his peers, not his political enemies.
Correct. This is a University of Connecticut history professor. So Manisha Sinha, who spoke from Los Angeles, where she was attending an Organization of American Historians conference, dismissed the idea that this was a witch hunt. Okay? He wasn't indicted by the Democratic Party. He wasn't indicted by Alvin Bragg, but by fellow citizens serving on a grand jury. And let's see if on that grand jury, some of those people were threatened, or they attempted bribes or any of that kind of stuff. We'll see. I don't know. I haven't heard. I didn't hear anything about that.
Well, let me also just say this. As I've said before, just because he's a former president doesn't mean he shouldn't be indicted. I don't understand. Right. It's been going on for far too long in this country.
And by the way, part of that too was, he may be running for president, so we can't interfere. No. Because now, what are they going to try to do? They're going to try to say, well, they waited too long. Well, what are you supposed to do it then? You can't do it now because he's running for office, but you can't do it now.
It's never a good time to do it.
Right. All right. So let's see.
But poor Donnie, it's never a good time.
Right. So this gentleman, his name is Mark Molinaro. He's a New York House Republican.
You gonna call him a coward? Yeah, I think you were. Yeah.
Well, what I will say is that he's saying that if Trump is guilty, he should be indicted and convicted. However, Alvin Bragg did this for political reasons. So he's trying. Yeah. The point is, none of these Republicans are going to really say anything. They're only trying to save their own ass. And the reason that this guy isn't going full blown right wing pro go, let's fight for our ex-president, blah blah blah, is because he's in a Biden district.
Right.
I want you to understand that. And then you have this part of this whole thing, which is the religious right. Praying.
Yeah.
Because this Trump
away. Yeah. It's like pray the gay away, pray the crime away.
Right. This is Franklin Graham. Yes, it's Billy Graham's brother.
Son.
Okay. It looks just like him, actually. But so now we have that part. And now we have the legislative part, flim-flam part of it.
Can I just before you go over there, can I just say this? What religious person, serious religious person, prays for Donald Trump?
I know.
What the fuck?
I don't know. I don't think he's a serious religious person.
No, well, here's the thing. Remember that old saying? I know it was credited to Albert Einstein, but I don't think it was him. But I'm just saying, religion was invented when the first con man met the first fool.
Right.
This is a perfect example.
Yep. So this is pretty much kind of the final piece of this, which is the House, Jim Jordan, McCarthy, all this nonsense. And then we have what is it? What do they call it? The House Committee against government weaponization. Jesus Christ. All right. Let's see if we can. It's kind of, yeah. All right, I can.
It's having a breakdown because you mentioned Jim Jordan's name.
Yeah. Well, this is okay. So this is Manhattan DA Bragg privately warned about intimidation after Trump calls for protest, and then after that, Kevin McCarthy. So threatening Alvin Bragg. Now, he's threatening him with an investigation. Alvin Bragg could give a rat's ass.
Yeah, go ahead. Enjoy yourself.
Right. So, all right, MSNBC, calm down. Maybe later. Thank you.
Where'd you go?
Oh.
Come back to the 5 and dime. Jimmy Dean.
All right. It's getting stupid. Hold on. As I said, okay, here we go. Are we gonna? Okay. So this is actually a pretty good article. That did it? What happened?
I see you now.
Am I still on?
You're on.
All right.
But your screen is gone. And now you're frozen. He's frozen. So here, let me do a little song and dance for you. No.
All right, hold on.
Okay.
Something. Are we back? Okay. Hold on 1 second. So the next one, look, the bottom line is Jim Jordan, the House, all these people are putting in these investigations, and even the Republicans are saying that these investigations by the U.S. House are bogus. A lot of these guys are saying that this guy's out of his mind, which the way I see it is let them continue, because they're continuing to discredit themselves. There's a Vox article. I'll probably try to put it up in a second, but it's actually pretty good, which basically says this guy has no evidence of any of this. Okay, and
he's not been able to produce any of the witnesses he said he would produce.
Yep.
The other thing is too, who is the guy that's the oversight committee chief? Is it Cornyn?
No, it's Jordan.
No. There's another guy
there's another guy?
I think it's
it might be Cornyn, yeah.
Okay, so now let me just say this. He bragged and hinted that he may have stolen somebody's email in order to discredit a woman who said he abused her. And he literally admitted this, and now they're calling for an investigation of the man who's the head of the oversight committee. What does that tell you? The GOP is full of freaking criminals, for Christ's sake.
Right.
Vote for them at your own peril, folks.
And by the way, to have a House oversight, which, by the way, it devolved into chaos when Democrats asked what was happening was they were dismissing witnesses without letting the Democrats interview them. So it just fucking devolved into,
That's some oversight committee.
Exactly.
I will put the article in about the head of the oversight committee being potentially
okay.
investigated.
I missed that one.
Now here's the thing. let's keep in mind one thing. The only way he can be investigated is if the House investigates him.
Correct.
Because right now the GOP is in power. That is unlikely.
Right. Or
unless
yep.
it becomes a federal investigation.
Yep.
Then he can be investigated. But if you're talking about an ethics committee and all of that bullshit, you know what? The GOP is supposed to be investigating George Santos too, and they're not. So let's not even go there. That's just,
well, it could become outside. I don't know what state we're talking about. I can't remember Cornyn, his state.
Texas, isn't he?
I think he is. But again, you're going to have to go through the court system. And if we're talking Texas, again, that's going to be a hard sell to
DOJ investigation.
And yeah, that could be so.
I think he's candidate from Texas.
I believe so too. Yeah.
He is.
So yeah, here's one thing. Oversight Committee Republicans won't sign a Democrats letter denouncing white supremacy.
I don't know what you need, folks. Whatever you need. I mean, how much more ammunition do you need to get up off your ass and get out there in 2024?
You know, I mean, come on. Wait, listen, they're not making.
It's not like we're making up fake newspaper articles.
Right.
Okay? We're not. We haven't got time for that.
You know, this is amazing. It was a 2-sentence statement that rejects white supremacy, white nationalism, and a far-right conspiracy theory that suggests politicians are intentionally seeking to displace white Americans by loosening immigration. And by the way, loosening immigration. So a lot of these guys, they should jump on this. They want tighter. Yeah, so.
Let me just say something else here also. There's another thing. Before this whole thing blew up, there was another bill that would root out white supremacists from police departments across the country and the military.
Right.
Every member of the GOP voted against that bill. Do you want white supremacists in the military and white supremacists in your neighborhood with guns? Come on, folks. You know, on a personal level, I know there's about to be one in a town near me. This guy has no business being a fucking cop either.
Right.
He's coming straight out of the military and going right into the police department.
Now, guys, you can read along with me. I'm not going to share it because I'm having sharing issues, but this is
sharing issues. You know, sharing is caring. Now cut that out.
screen sharing issues. So this is important. This is an important article. I like this one from Vox. Okay, this is Christian Paz, March 28th of this year. The House and GOP's investigations are flopping. They're looking for their next Benghazi, but their investigations are unpopular. Why? Because they don't have any evidence. That's why. The Monica Lewinsky scandal was huge for Fox News because they had tape. They had stuff on her or on him. Okay. They had moles. They had Linda Tripp. They had, they had some juice. They had something. They don't have anything. They have nothing. That's why these are failing, which is the exact same reason that Jim Jordan's House Committee Against Weaponization of the Government is going to fail. Let them continue to do what they're doing. And they're doing it. They're doing it. They've been doing it forever. The Senate's been doing it too with Ted Cruz and Rand Paul. constantly bringing in Anthony Fauci, okay, on nothing. Deb and I have looked at all of this stuff. If there was something, we'd look at it.
Hours at it. I spent hours on this.
Yeah.
Hours. And by the way, they're threatening to bring in Anthony Fauci again. And
Right.
you know what he said, bring it on. He's got nothing to hide. He did his goddamn job as the leading freaking infectious disease specialist in the world, by the way.
They wanted to bring Merrick Garland in. Okay. For what?
They told him to go pound sand, by the way.
Right.
If you didn't put Bill Barr in, who basically covered up the collusion with Russia with the Mueller report.
The Mueller report. Right.
The Mueller report. Yeah, hey, I got a copy right over there, right next to where I sleep. I read it every night. Read the Mueller report. You want to see weaponization of the DOJ? You're looking at it right there. Don't let Bill Barr fool you. Don't let him fool you because he came out about J6. All right. Bill Barr made a mockery of the DOJ.
Right. So, hold on one second. So, I'm going to read just a little bit of this. And this is that from that article, from the Christian Paz article. The House GOP's investigations are flopping. All right. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but even before they had taken control of the House Republicans were promising payback using the powers of various congressional committees that they would soon take over. Ultra-conservative House Freedom Caucus members led by Comer of Kentucky, Jim Jordan of Ohio, were pledging investigations of everything: the Biden's family business practices, Hunter Biden's laptop, the origins of the coronavirus pandemic, and alleged government bias against conservatives and Biden administration border policies. The investigations seem to be flopping. They don't seem to be sticking in the public consciousness. They haven't uncovered page one news about Hunter Biden's laptop, which, by the way, when it first broke, Deb and I were like, ooh, maybe we should do a show on that. And then guess what happened? January 6th. And I'm glad we didn't do a story on this because there's nothing to it.
They investigated Hunter Biden in 2020 before the election in the hopes that they could use it to springboard Trump into office. And they couldn't find anything then. They aren't going to find anything now. And by the way, the last person to have possession of Hunter Biden's hard drive is Rudy Giuliani.
Right. Which is...
You trust anything that slime touches? I'm sorry, folks.
Violation of the chain of evidence.
Correct.
It corrupted the chain of evidence. So a bit more than 2 months into Republicans' control of the House, plenty of these investigations are well underway. Hearings have been held, letters sent, witnesses summoned, and hours spent appearing on Fox News.
Yeah, that's the only place that's covering them.
Yep, and
the only place that's covering them.
They don't seem to be damaging the president as many Republicans had hoped. Of course, it's still early and more than a year and a half before the 2024 presidential elections. They could still weaponize their committee investigations into better political cudgels, but they don't have anything, guys. They don't have anything. So, Americans' feelings toward the GOP oversight aren't very positive. Republicans are 42% of Republican adults said Republicans are focusing on oversight too much. Those are the Republicans. But the thing is, there's nothing there.
I think this is a value of the MAGA Republicans.
Right.
This is who they're playing to. This is the GOP's base now. Okay, whether you like to hear that or not, I know there are rational Republicans out there. This is not your party anymore. Okay, it is not. It has been taken over. The people in power in the House, every last one of them,
right,
are MAGA Republicans, every one of them. And in the Senate, they're all impotent little men who can't stand up to them. So they're not your friends either.
I'm going to try one more time because this is going to be probably the last thing I show. By the way, before I end, I'm not going to read the article, but Jennifer Rubin did a really good article. I would say absolutely take a look at it. She's basically justifying the indictment. But
Republican, by the way.
Yeah. Hold on. So I'm going to try. This is an official press release from Jim Jordan on why the select subcommittee on the weaponization of the federal government is necessary. Now, my computer is having a meltdown, and probably
Put Jim Jordan on, and it's going to have a bigger meltdown.
Yeah, that's. Let's see here. It's not. Yeah, it's not. Well, here we go. Are you gonna let me do it? Are you gonna let me do it?
Ooh-wee.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Oh, God. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the gentleman yielding. God have mercy. A ploy? It's not a ploy when the Department of Justice treats parents as terrorists, moms and dads who are simply showing up at a school board meeting to advocate for their son or daughter.
Who's doing that?
That's that parental rights bullshit.
Oh, by the way, they did pass that bill which pits parent against parent. That was a nice touch.
Ploy, it's not a ploy when the FBI pays Twitter $3 million, not one, not two, but $3 million to censor American citizens. By the way, where's the evidence on that? It's not a ploy when the Department of Homeland Security tries to set up a disinformation governance board, because we all know that the Department of Homeland Security can tell what's good speech and what's bad speech.
You know, he's all he's doing is throwing allegations around. He can't produce any of this material. None of this.
So
he certainly hasn't yet.
Right. You got to be kidding me. I tell you what, dozens of whistleblowers who have come to talk to Republican staffs on the Judiciary Committee. But by the way, they haven't presented any. And if they did present any, they won't let the Democrats talk to them.
By the way, hold on a minute. 3 of them were paid off by Donald Trump. Okay, hello. That is documented, by the way.
Right. That is why they came to talk to us. That's how serious this is. The former Democrat chair of the Judiciary Committee is in the press saying we're going to fight this tooth and nail. Who is that?
I don't know. I forget who that might be.
Was it Tulsi?
No, she was not in the Senate Judiciary Committee.
Oh, she was a House.
She's the House. She was never on the Judiciary Committee. She was on the Joker Committee.
Could it be Manchin? I don't know. I don't know who he's talking about.
I'll look it up while you talk.
Well, meanwhile, the former Democrat chair of the Intelligence Committee pressured Twitter to censor a journalist.
Why doesn't he use their names? Why doesn't he use their names so we know what the fuck he's talking about?
Right. This is about the First Amendment, something you guys used to care about. And I'd actually hope we could get bipartisan agreement on protecting the First Amendment.
Yeah. I wish we could get bipartisan agreement on getting guns off the street, too.
The 5 rights we enjoy as Americans under the First Amendment: your right to practice your faith, your right to practice to assemble, your right to petition the government, freedom of the press, and freedom of speech.
Well, the former head of the Senate Judiciary Committee, if he's talking about is it Durbin? I don't know.
Dick Durbin? I don't know. The government was telling people they couldn't go to church just a few years ago. Who told them that?
This is a freaking lie. Joe Biden goes to church every Sunday, by the way. Where are that? Joe Biden and his wife, they walk into a Catholic church every Sunday. He's a devout Catholic. This is just such bull. It really is.
I know.
Yeah.
Your right to assemble, your right to petition the government. The Democrats kept the Capitol closed. You couldn't as a citizen come to your Capitol that you pay to address your member of Congress to redress your grievances.
I suggest to you that maybe that's because you invited 10,000 thugs down there to beat the crap out of the Capitol Police, break in with zip ties and bear spray, and, try to take down an entire fucking government. You know what? Take this down because my blood pressure is going up.
Okay.
I'm going to be dead by midnight.
Okay. Hold on. Wait. Jesus Christ. We don't. Oh, here we go. All right. Americans are sick and tired of it. We want to. What we want, we don't want to go after anyone. We just want it to stop, and we want to respect the First Amendment and the Constitution that the greatest country in the world has. That's what this committee is about, and that's what it's going to focus on. That's what we're going to do. Really,
find the Banana Republican Party, because that's what they are.
which is why DeSantis is refusing to cooperate with the extradition because they worry about it. And by the way, they're talking.
They want the First Amendment rights, and they want to disregard the rule of law. Let's be honest here. They have disdain for the rule of law across the board in this country.
Right.
They absolutely do.
Well, you have a right to worship the way you want to worship, but not if it infringes on the rights of transgenders, of women, of their personal sovereignty.
And by the way, we have a right to not worship at all.
Correct.
We don't have to worship anybody that we can't see. We don't have a right. We have a right to not believe in somebody that we don't know. We have that right. We have that right to be free from religion. That's a right too.
And by the way, this is coming from people who worship someone who just was indicted.
That's correct.
So,
God is Donald Trump. Just
right.
Saying.
So, sorry for raising your blood pressure, but that's the But I want people to understand that's what we're dealing with. Okay, the House Judiciary, and this is why no one's taking them seriously, because they can't produce evidence for anything.
And I'm going to say this one more time. I know I've been saying this. I'm going to say it again. We should never have relinquished control of the House. That should never even have happened, knowing the Constitution of what was in there. I'm sorry, folks. You know what? I don't know. The only explanation I have is that not enough Democrats showed up. That's really where we are. That's a plain and simple fact. We should never have relinquished control of the House. We added one seat in the Senate. And by the way, I make no bones about the fact that we did a great job in the midterms, but not good enough. Okay? The House should never have been lost. Not with the majority that we had. No siree. The only way that happened was by not enough Democrats voting. Sorry.
By the way, this is a continuous process. Okay, we have elections going on April 4th in Colorado, in New York, in California, in Wisconsin. Wisconsin is huge because of the Wisconsin Supreme Court and that state Senate race. Okay, but you have mayoral races all over the place. You have you have the Chicago. You have LA.
Wait, school board seats?
And school board
Those
seats.
are critical. You know what? Maybe they weren't 10 years ago, but right now that's how the right wing is gaining entry, by school boards.
Yeah.
That's how they're gaining entry. And let me just say this. Every single member of the House of Representatives is up again for re-election in 2024. Get it right this time and get rid of the GOP. We need the House back to make any inroads anywhere.
Don't don't concede anything. We have them on the ropes a little bit.
We have them on the ropes, and we have the majority. The Republicans are not, the Republican voters are not in the majority in this country. They're not. They win when we don't vote. That's what happens. When we sit one out. There's no sitting out anymore.
Right.
And that's what we got. See you later.
Bye-bye.